There's a moment inside Hendrick Motorsports that longtime employees have learned to dread, and it has nothing to do with yelling or press conferences. It's simply Rick Hendrick walking into the weekly competition meeting and being the one who speaks first. Dale Earnhardt Jr., who drove for the team for 10 years and still has close ties to the organization through JR Motorsports, recently opened up about what that moment actually signals, and why it might be happening right now heading into one of the most important stretches of the 2026 NASCAR season. Because something is off at the sport's most decorated organization. 4 cars, a legendary history, and right now a season that doesn't look anything like what fans have come to expect from this team. Start with Chase Elliott. 2 wins so far, 1 at Martinsville and 1 at Texas. That's the entire highlight reel for a 4-car operation that's supposed to be chasing championships every single year. Now look at Kyle Larson, the reigning Cup Series champion, who hasn't won a race in 39 straight starts. This is a driver who spent 5 consecutive seasons winning at least 3 races a year, and now he's gone over a full calendar year without a victory. He finished 23rd at Watkins Glen, one of his worst runs of the season, and his average finish of 17th is his weakest mark since 2015, sitting a full 8 spots behind his average starting position. A lot of people trace this slide back to his Indy 500 and Coca-Cola 600 double last year and the wreck that came with it. Yes, he's second in the series in laps led, but most of that came from 1 race at Bristol, which makes the number look better than the actual season has been. Then there's Byron. Just last year he won the regular season title and made it to the championship 4. This year he's sitting 12th, only 32 points above the cutoff line, fighting just to crack the top 10 most weeks. Both his average start and his average finish are his worst since 2020. And here's the stat that really stings. Byron has led fewer laps this season than Corey Heim, a driver who's only made 3 starts all year in a part-time, non-chartered Toyota. A full-time championship contender in one of the best cars in the garage, getting outpaced by a part-timer. Alex Bowman has had his own struggles too, missing 4 races earlier this year after a bout of vertigo. Even accounting for that, he hasn't been consistently fast. He's put together back-to-back third-place finishes recently, but his points per race average for the season only ranks 28th in the series. Even if you gave him credit for every missed race at that same pace, he'd still be sitting 93 points below the cutoff. Elliott remains the bright spot, already matching wins he'd never hit this early in any of his first 10 seasons. But even his best moment comes with a catch. His Martinsville win happened without him scoring a single stage point that day. It was his crew chief, Alan Gustafson, making a bold 2-stop strategy call late in the race that stole the win away from Denny Hamlin, who had led 292 of the 400 laps. It was a smart call, but it wasn't built on raw speed, and Elliott admitted as much afterward, saying there's still plenty of room to improve even with a win like that in hand. Now zoom out further and things look even rougher. Toyota is running away with the season, with Tyler Reddick already up to 5 wins. Team Penske has passed Hendrick in total victories. And this is the part that really has fans worried. Trackhouse Racing and Spire Motorsports, a satellite team that gets support from Hendrick, have the exact same win total as Hendrick itself. With Carson Hocevar and Daniel Suarez sitting 7th and 9th in the results-based standings, you could actually argue Spire is currently the best Chevrolet team in the sport right now, a team that had only won once total in the previous 6.5 years combined. Strip away stage points completely and it gets worse. Larson drops to 13th in the standings, just barely inside the playoff picture, and he's behind 3 other Chevrolet drivers who aren't even on his own team. Ryan Preece over at RFK hasn't finished better than 8th all season, and he still ranks 5 spots higher than Larson once you take stage points out of the equation. The point standings are covering up a level of performance that just isn't really there. So what's actually causing all of this? It starts with the car. For 2026, Chevrolet rolled out an updated Camaro ZL1 with styling and characteristics borrowed from its new carbon performance package, including a bigger hood scoop, a redesigned front grille, and more aggressive side rocker panels. Every Chevy team got these changes, and Hendrick has openly admitted they're still trying to figure it out. Team President Jeff Andrews said earlier this season that there's still a lot of work left to do. The core issue seems to be balance. These cars fall off hard as the tires wear, And that's the difference between running up front for 400 miles and sliding backward the second the grip disappears. There's some history worth remembering here too. The last time Chevy introduced a brand new body style was 2018, and that year turned into what was, until now, the slowest start Hendrick had experienced in years. Elliott was the only winner that season, picking up all 3 of the team's victories. Bowman didn't get his first win until 2019, and Byron didn't win until 2020. If this year follows that same pattern, the road back could take a lot longer than one season to complete. And there's some irony baked into all of it, because back in November of last year, Rick Hendrick publicly said how excited he was about this redesigned Chevrolet body heading into 2026. The very thing he was looking forward to has turned into the problem his team can't quite crack. Which brings us to what actually happens behind closed doors when performance drops this low. Dale Earnhardt Jr. addressed exactly that on his podcast recently, and he gave fans a rare look behind the curtain. Nobody really doubts his credibility here. He spent a decade racing for Rick Hendrick, and his company still partners with the organization today, so he knows the internal culture about as well as anyone outside the shop walls. When asked how worried he is about the team right now, his answer was straightforward. He said he's not concerned because he's seen this pattern before. They get into these little slumps, and then the competition meetings happen, one every single week, and that's where the real change takes place. Rick Hendrick shows up to plenty of those meetings himself. And these days Jeff Gordon, now serving as vice chairman, carries serious weight in that room too. According to Earnhardt, when results aren't there, the entire mood of those meetings shifts. He described it getting genuinely serious, with Rick basically telling the room that everybody better figure it out. Then came the line that really sums up the whole situation. Rick rarely gets stern, but when he does, people notice, because it doesn't happen often, and everyone in that room understands exactly what it means. Fix it or there will be consequences. Earnhardt also pointed out the specific tell that lets everyone in the building know Rick has seen enough. It's when he's the one who talks first in that meeting. If Rick opens the conversation instead of waiting to hear about last week's race, everybody in that room knows immediately that last week doesn't matter anymore. Solutions are the only thing on the table. And what happens after that meeting wraps up might be the most interesting part of this whole story. Earnhardt described a chain reaction that spreads through every corner of the company. Once everyone hears they're expected to bring solutions, they scatter back to their departments and turn the effort up several notches. The engine shop starts chasing extra horsepower. The engineers dig deeper into setup data. The aero team searches for any gain they can find. And then, according to Earnhardt, a certain competitive culture kicks in, where everybody wants to be the one who runs back to Rick with something to show for it, wanting to say, "You told us to work, we worked, and here's what we found." That's not panic. That's structure. That's an organization turning urgency into fuel instead of letting it curdle into fear. And when enough people bring something back to the table, you start seeing it show up at the racetrack. Earnhardt also brought up Jeff Gordon's growing role in all of this, saying that given his personality, Gordon could be just as convincing a voice in that room, adding that he personally wouldn't want to be on Gordon's bad side either. And this isn't just theory. There's a very recent example of this exact blueprint working. Go back to last season. Hendrick went through one of its toughest mid-year slumps in recent memory, and the outside doubt sounded almost identical to what we're hearing now. The team responded by shuffling personnel, reorganizing pit crews, and leaning on its depth to find and fix weaknesses. Performance climbed steadily as the year went on. And it ended with Kyle Larson and the number 5 team hoisting the championship trophy at Phoenix, beating 2 Joe Gibbs Racing drivers and his own teammate William Byron along the way. So this isn't blind faith. It's a documented plan that worked just 12 months ago. But it's worth being honest about the risks here too, because this approach only works under the right conditions. First, the diagnosis has to be correct. If Hendrick has genuinely misread how to set these new Chevrolets up, throwing more resources at the wrong problem won't fix anything. It'll just burn time they don't have before the playoff field locks in. Second, there's a human risk. When an owner with Rick Hendrick's reputation sets that kind of tone, it can absolutely light a fire under people, but it can also tighten shoulders. Crew chiefs and engineers under that kind of pressure sometimes start overcorrecting, chasing changes that look great on paper but throw off the balance a driver has spent all season building. And third, there's the format itself. The 2026 season brought back the old-style playoff format used from 2004 through 2013, where the top 16 in points make the postseason and the champion gets decided over the final 10 races. There's no win-and-you-win safety net anymore. A win is worth 55 points, but consistency across those 10 races is what really decides the title. And a team still fighting balance issues over long runs is extremely exposed in a format built entirely around consistency. Earnhardt was blunt about where each driver stands. He doesn't think Byron is even in a position to think about a championship this year, saying the team simply needs to get better first. For Elliott and Larson, his message was different, more about survival than aggression. They're both still in position to think championship, but they need to be careful over the next handful of races and avoid that one bad finish that can undo everything. His advice was simple: grab whatever points you can while the rest of the company works to find more speed, and whatever you do, don't stub your toe along the way. So where does this go from here? There are really two paths. In the best case, Hendrick repeats exactly what happened last year. The internal pressure Rick creates pushes every department into overdrive. They solve the balance problems with this new Chevrolet body, and either Elliott or Larson rides that momentum into a real championship run, turning this whole stretch into another chapter of the Hendrick comeback story. In the worst case, the fixes come too late. The new playoff format is unforgiving, and if these cars are still struggling with balance once the postseason starts, there may simply not be enough time left to turn it around. A four-car powerhouse could end up watching the championship fight from the outside for the first time in a long time. Fans are already split on this one. Some are looking at the results and asking a fair question: if this is one of the most talented rosters in the entire garage, why does it look this ordinary right now? Others are doing what Hendrick fans have always done, trusting the process and pointing right back to last season as proof this team has been in this exact spot before and knows how to climb out of it. So here's the real question as we head toward the playoffs. Is Rick Hendrick's quiet pressure exactly what this team needs to turn its season around? Or is this finally the year the cracks run too deep to patch in time? Drop your prediction in the comments. And if you enjoyed breaking this down with us, we'd really appreciate it if you hit subscribe here on NASCAR Report today. We're working hard to reach our first 1,000 subscribers, and every single one of you who joins us gets us that much closer to making it happen. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.